What's up guys, it's Manga Time once again. I'm here today to bring you my review of Bleach 557, which is rather worryingly titled, His Life Has Already Been Set Aside. It's a bit more direct on the manga reader version. I think it's I've already set my life aside or something like that. But regardless, it's slightly worrying. And when I actually went on to Manga Reader this morning and read that title, I was like, Komamura's going to die. Like this week, I thought he was going to die. That's not quite the case, but I'm pretty sure he's done for. But, you know, it starts off with Kokujo Tengenmyo's armor falling off and crashing onto some buildings, and Bambietta's watching like, what the hell is that? You just get these amazing, there's so many amazing panels this week of the new Bankai Dangai Joue, and he's apparently known as the Wisdom King. But yeah, he looks so cool. His eyes are literally, he's basically a skull with fire coming out of his eyes. He looks really cool. I'm really happy with how he looks. Whether he looks cooler than original Kokujo Tengenmyo, I haven't quite decided yet. Let me know which one you prefer in the comments. But yeah, he you know, there's a lot of, because this chapter is just a battle chapter. I think I was left feeling slightly underwhelmed, I guess. Like, I got to page 16 and I was like, wait a second, 16? Nothing's happened yet. So, you know, but I mean, all the same, it was a good chapter. You know, it was a solid fight. Whether the fight's over or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, so I was a little underwhelmed perhaps, but it was still a really good chapter. Bambietta's flying about, and she's like, well, what a shock to think there was no doggy beneath the armor. And then she thinks that Komamura's beneath the Bankai, I guess, or maybe she's just joking when she says, could it be maybe there's a doggy underneath the armor? This was a little unclear to me first time round what happened, but I've got it now. Basically, she shoots one of her reishi balls at his face, and he blocks it with his hand, and she blows his hand up. And basically what happens is his hand is like in pieces, and then it reforms immediately. So it's like high-speed regeneration. Now, whether Komamura's hand was blown into pieces or not, I'm not sure, because you don't actually get to see it. But I would presume it is, because you see that he is still taking the damage that his Bankai takes. However, it's no longer an issue, and you'll find out why. Bambietta's like, what's going on? And Komamura in his new badass human form, he does it very cool. But I still think I prefer him in his old form. Just because that is Komamura, like you know what I mean. I know technically this is Komamura more than the other one is, but I don't know. I still think this. I don't know. He's still very cool either way. But anyway, he basically says that Kokujo Tengenmyo is an armored Bankai that has had life breathed into it. So without its Bankai, without its armor, it's just Reiatsu. You know, it's just power. You know, you can't defeat it because it's dead technically. It's not living. Now I think that's really interesting. Komamura's like, you know, you can't defeat me. And Bambietta blows up its hand again, and she's like, I don't get what you're saying. This is quite a talky part now. She basically says, you know, I don't understand. What do you mean your Reiatsu is like bear? I can literally blow anything up. You know, and if you've exposed your Reiatsu, then that's a weakness. And she tries to blow up his arm. And you can see that Komamura has indeed put his arm forwards, and his arm has taken a hit as well. So they're still connected like they used to be. But she doesn't understand, which is fine because technically neither do we at this point. And you know, Komamura's like, if something gets blown to pieces, the reason it's terrifying is because there's life there. However, if there's no life there, no one cares if it's get blown up. You know, that's technically true, I suppose. Say if you've got like a controlled explosion of a building and there's no one inside, you know, no one cares really. But if there's people inside the building and it blows up, then everyone, you know, is going to be like, oh my god. So that does make sense. So technically what I'm saying is there's no one inside Komamura's Bankai anymore. Tengenmyo's life is in the armor apparently, and Dangai Joue is basically Dangai Joue is basically the dead form of his Bankai, which makes sense because of the skull and the rib cage and everything. But, you know, again, it's this correlation between Komamura and Dangai Joue. They've both cast their life away now for this final, last-ditch effort. And you get this kind of grisly scene, actually, where Komamura's grandfather is just staring at Komamura's heart in the bowl. I think that's interesting. It's like, what's really the purpose of this tiny little scene? Is it to show that Komamura's life is now in his grandfather's hands, maybe? I don't know. But Bambietta rips off her mantle, and she's like, what are you talking about? And now this is interesting. And I'm actually quite glad for this part as well. She also believes that a Bankai doesn't have its own life. So Kang is not the only one who's a feckin' retard. But I think this is probably going to be the mindset of most of the Quincy. Now, I mean, it's interesting. I think that they possibly do know the Bankai has a life of its own, but I kind of feel they don't want to believe it. Because the Quincy they don't have that kind of connection with their Volston dish. The Volston dish is just an upgrade to them. You know, the Bankai is something completely different. The Zanpakuto spirit is a completely different spirit. And that might be why the Quincy fear the Bankai so much. Because they can't really account for it as well. And so they kind of want to tell themselves that, you know, the Bankai doesn't have its spirit of itself. But, you know, there's a hell of a lot of evidence to suggest it otherwise, you'd think. But she's like, you know, it doesn't have any life, so what's with you I should know, because I had your Bankai up until just a moment ago. The Bankai is linked to its possessor, which that's interesting, so she must have used it at some point. Even if the Bankai is fine after being destroyed, the same doesn't go for you, its master. So she blasts Dangai Joue in the chest with a couple of explosions, and Komamura takes a hit. And she's like, see, and then basically, in another quite grisly page, she's blown off the little chest thing that was protecting his heart, where his heart once was, and it's just a big hole in his chest now. So she's like, you know, what's with that hole in his chest? What? This must be about the 6th time she says what is going on in this chapter. Look, this is when Komamura explains kind of the upgrade he received. His physical body is now just an empty shell, just a vessel to defeat you. And this is unbelievably broken. Our secret technique, the human metamorphosis technique, allows us to temporarily gain immortal bodies by giving up our heart. So move over, Aizen, you're no longer the only immortal in the series. But like I speculated last week, it is only temporary. I think he'll eventually go back to looking like original Komamura, and then he'll die. Because he says, during the time that I am in human form, I will not die. That's well cool, that is. That is, you know, that is about the best power-up you can give someone, really. It also makes me wonder just how Komamura is actually going to lose. Because I'm not sure how long he has before he transforms back and dies. Or maybe it's just up to his grandpa. Maybe his grandpa will kill him eventually. Maybe that's the price he has to pay. His grandpa will crush his heart or something grisly like that. But yeah, I'm not sure how it works. I'm not sure how it works at all, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. But yeah, this is definitely Komamura's death knell, which is a big shame. Bambietta flies up and her reaction makes a little heart. That's kind of cute. But then Dangai Joue just jumps up behind her. I mean, that is so cool. Amazing artwork on Dangai Joue. Absolutely amazing. She's trying to fly away. It's kind of funny. She's literally just throwing attacks at him, and she doesn't understand what the point in fighting is if you're going to die at the end of it. She doesn't. So she is quite the opposite to Komamura. Komamura is obviously all about friendship, all about selflessness, all about I will die to protect other people. So she's like, if you die, you lose. You know, she's like, you know, you can't win without living. She's like, if you throw your life away in battle, then winning is meaningless, right? She blows the shit out of Dangai Joue, but Komamura emerges, of course, because he can tank anything now, which is just brilliant. And he's like, I'm not throwing it away, I'm putting it on the line. And and you know, because Genryo Saidono gave his life in this battle, and there's absolutely no reason why Komamura can't do the same. Then you get this amazing final panel. He's like, from the moment I stepped into this fight, and Dangai Joue emerges from the smoke. And then Komamura just looks so fucking badass in this final picture. It's like, from the moment I stepped into this fight, I made the decision to set my life aside. And it's slightly unclear what actually happens to Bambietta, which I suppose is rather intentional. Basically, Dangai Joue swings his sword, and it seems as it connects with her, she blows up. That is the power of Komamura's new Bankai. But yeah, it's an amazing double-page spread. 2 double-page spreads this week. That's probably why the chapter felt shorter than usual. But yeah, brilliant. Wow, I mean, I was slightly underwhelmed, and I've kind of reread it about 3 times now, and it's kind of getting better every time I read it. I'm going to drop an 8 on this chapter. Not a lot happened, and a lot of it was quite samey as well. I think that's possibly another reason. Literally, it was just Bambietta throwing those bombs. You know, they're not the most inventive looking attacks in the world. And Dangai Joue swinging his sword a little bit. Every panel with Dangai Joue was an absolute delight, though. And the final page looks really cool. But as for what's going to happen, this is clearly Bambietta's not going to die. If she is going to die, then I have sorely underestimated what Kubo is planning on doing here. But nah, she's not going to die, not yet. I'd love the Komamura to kill her, though. Absolutely love Komamura to kill her, because I like Komamura far more than I like Bambietta. But I can't help but feel that this is kind of Shinji's Bankai fight. But maybe it's not, and you know, that'd be cool, because there are enemies that Shinji could use Bankai against that aren't Bambietta, of course. That sun is really bright. Coming straight through my curtains. How bad is that? But anyway, yeah, I think Komamura's going to die at the end of this. I don't really see any way around it. I'd be disappointed if he doesn't at this rate, because you know it's building up to it, and I really like Komamura, so I hope this final battle is a proper final stand for him. The fact that he's immortal while a human is absolutely broken beyond belief, but it's cool nonetheless. It's very cool. Panel of the weeks, but go to the last page. You got that combination of Komamura's epic shouting face and Dangai Joue blowing shit up with his sword. That is really cool. I don't know when we'll go on to another fight. I reckon this fight could probably last another chapter, I reckon. Because Bambietta is going to be, I think she's going to be pretty much defeated by the end, with that attack at the end. I really hope it's not like bittersweet, where, you know, not even bittersweet. I really hope it's not, you know, the sort of thing when Komamura is just about to kill her and then he transforms back and then he dies. That'd suck. I mean, if it was done well, I could like it, but Komamura's had such a shit time in this manga, really. It's about time he got a proper victory against a really powerful opponent. Bambietta would fit the bill. I really can't see Bambietta's little posse allowing her to die, though. That's another thing. Yeah, I can't see that happening. But, you know, they might do, I guess. Maybe they don't really care that much, but I don't know. They're watching for a reason, I'd have thought. So yeah, don't know. I'm kind of just coming to grips with the fact that Komamura is probably going to die in the next couple of chapters, which is a bit of a shame. Komamura is definitely going to get the volume cover for this. This is 62, almost guaranteed. He's not had one yet. This is a perfect opportunity. There is no one more deserving. But yeah, that's kind of it for the chapter this week, guys, I think. What did you think about this battle? You know, what do you think about Dangai Joue and the fact that Komamura has an immortal body? I mean, that is so broken. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. But apart from that, guys, I shall catch you later on this week. Probably not going to do a companion video because I don't really think there's a huge amount new you can talk about. And someone requested that I do a list video of every Random Reich member so far. So, yeah, I'll do that. That sounds fun. And I've heard somewhere we've got a colour page next week, so that only lends credence to the idea that Komamura is going to die. You guys know that volume cover plus colour page is a death sentence. So, yeah. But, you know, that'd be cool all the same. So yeah, that's it this week, guys. See you later.